I told her, "You were my great protection." She said, "I was more than that. You were mine too." This is a conversation between Maya Angelou and her mother, as inscribed in Mom and Me and Mom. A very special friendship which Maya Angelou talks about, which did not begin as the usual mother-daughter bonding, but something which both the mother and the daughter had to work through because of certain circumstances. And finally, in the end, Angelou said that her mother was always the bestest friend she could have ever had. From time immemorial, poets and writers have always talked about mothers, mothering, motherhood. Right from Anne Sexton and Sylvia Plath, who wrote poems on motherly feelings. Edgar Allan Poe, who said that mother is the greatest devotion. Robert Frost, John Greenleaf Whittier, Christina Rossetti, Kamala Das, Sarojini Naidu, Tagore, and to the latest new age digital poets like Ruby Kaur, who said, "Indian mothers do sacrifice a lot, and it makes my heart fill with love." People have always talked about mothering, people have always talked about mothers. You have very special mother characters in novels. You find very special mother characters in stories. Some have venerated them. Some others were pictured as villains. In 1996, there came out a collection of poems, essays, and stories altogether titled Mother, wherein you find mothering experiences to diversify itself into multitude, millional experiences. The choice of a woman to become a mother has always been celebrated in all cultures. Perumal Murugan's Amma is not simply a bio about his mother. You find the story of a woman, a very real woman, somebody who's not celebrated as a deity by the writer, somebody whose flaws, somebody whose positives are all sketched together in one single book, divided into 22 chapters. The book Amma by Perumal Murugan, the best-selling author of One Part Woman and Punachi. This book was actually translated by Nandini Murali and Kavita Muralidharan, and it was brought out in 2019 by Eka. It sketches the life of a matriarch, the caretaker of a family, with a husband and 2 sons and a great farmer. This is how Perumal Murugan says. She didn't think of work as belonging to men or women. What she did care about was ensuring that her family led a life of dignity, holding their heads high. The book is all about the extremes to which a woman went so as to keep together her family, so as to keep her family dignity, so as to give her sons proper education and let them be free in the world. No wonder why she took the invitation from the moon and cleared an entire field in a single night. A field of millet, which nobody was there to help her with. So she locked her drunken husband at home and walked to the field in the middle of the night with her 5-year-old son playing nearby, along with a dog, and an almost 1-year-old Perumal Murugan lying in the basket near the fields. She cleared the entire field by dawnbreak, alone. She made delicious muruk just to satisfy her son's cravings. But that's not what she was all about. After her husband's death, she wore the traditional white sari. But that didn't keep her from sowing the first seeds, the first maize seeds, as against the customs of the land. The custom of the land does not allow a widow to sow seeds the first round, because fields may remain barren if it happens. But since she had no one else to depend on, she did it, clad in the white sari. When neighbors and friends asked her, how could you do it? How could a widow do it? Didn't you get anybody else's help? You could have asked us, etc. She just smiled and gave very polite replies. This is how Murugan records that incident. It rained heavily that year. Not a single maize crop that Amma sowed went bad. To describe in Amma's words, the crop is lush. Not one is bare or infected. It's soothing to the eyes. She was very careful in financial management too. Let me read from the book. Amma always handled the family's finances when my father was around and also after his death. In Amma's accounting, there was only room for income. The expense was minimal. It was difficult to extract money from her, and she would hand it over only if she was fully convinced that it was necessary. She solely bought 800 square feet of land, the entrance to their house, and the entire incident is vividly described by Perumal Murugan in a chapter in the book. In Amma, Murugan's wife talks about her mother-in-law. Perumal Murugan's mother was against his marriage because it was an intercaste marriage, but she never ever nursed a grudge against him or his wife or the in-laws. She took pains to travel. She who travelled very less by train to Perumal Murugan's in-laws' place and stayed with them for 2 days and gradually reconciled with Perumal Murugan's decision to get married outside the caste. And this is how his wife writes about her mother-in-law. Let me read. It is an enduring chronicle about the life of a matriarch from an agrarian family. One who absorbed what was necessary from urban life, adjusted to her roles in village, and managed to unshackle herself from the travails she was subjected to. Though Amma had her own personal likes and dislikes, Murugan says that she never imposed anything on anybody. Now, there is a beautiful chapter titled Book Edict, wherein he talks about how his mother, a very careful person when it comes to financial management, talks about how she gradually comes to terms with Murugan's love for books. This is what Amma says in the end. Every human being has some addiction or the other. Is there a person without one? You too have an addiction, books. Other than the fact that it is an expensive obsession, it doesn't trouble anyone. Go on, do as you please. Buy more and stack them up to your heart's content. Let me read a few more lines from this exceptional writing about mother. Amma knew everything, including how to irrigate, plough, and drive a tractor. When I was young, I never saw my mother sleep. Amma was movement itself, and movement, that M is in capital letters. Another line, the trees kept Amma company. She talked to them. He continues, she was one with them. The trees lent their ears to her. Thanks to them, Amma's lifespan increased by a few years. In the last chapter where Perumal Murugan talks about the death of his mother, this is how he concludes. People who come to offer condolences often ask, where have you laid Amma to rest? I point to my chest. Sakhir, in his Pustakakoota, says, പറഞ്ഞാൽ തീരാത്ത വാക്കാണ് അമ്മ. ഉള്ളിൽ അമ്മയില്ലാതെ പോകുമ്പോഴാണ് ചിന്തകൾ വന്യമാകുന്നത്. Mother is an infinite language. It is when there is no mother in your thoughts that your thoughts turn wild and brutal. This is the story of a woman who lived, loved, and labored. Thank you, Perumal Murugan, for chronicling her story. Amma.